Operation Domination is underway. The ultimate game plan to dominate your NFL experience. With your hosts, Dan
You gotta be confident about your Achilles when you
Chase
show up.
Thornton,
Yeah, I mean, I got it.
Chris
Tired of
Dowhouse,
hearing about disappointments in fantasy this season.
and Adam LaRue. Don't hope to win. Be great and dominate.
For me.
Yeah, all right. So to get back on here, we're in the 7th round, the back end of the 7th round. I'm going to be picking between the nominee this time. The ADP in this range has typically looked like Tony Pollard, Jaden Reed, Jake Ferguson, Zach Moss, Rashee Rice, which is a huge value now because now it's this ADP. This was from this week that I pulled from, but I wouldn't be surprised we're talking next week and Rashee Rice is like 2 rounds ahead. So we're not going to be talking about him in this one anyway. Chris is going to give me his nominee and Chase is going to give me his nominee. So Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to lock down the running back position, at least look at an option for us to consider in Tony Pollard, a guy that's everybody's written off of fantasy for some reason. They were screaming and yelling for him to get his opportunity. He got it last year. Now they're all bitching and mounting because he didn't do what they wanted him to do without Ezekiel Elliott. The guy still went over 1,000 yards for the second consecutive year, had 6 touchdowns last year in rushing and 9 touchdowns rushing the year before. He got paid decent, if not good money to go to Tennessee Titans. I know everybody loves Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears has no ACL, guys. They're not ever going to make him a bell cow back. He's always going to split carries. He's always going to be a rotational guy. He's never going to be the guy. Tony Pollard will definitely be involved a lot. You're going to see both those guys involved. But the good thing about it is they're not going to pigeonhole either one of these players. They're going to have opportunity to switch on series. So you're going to see guys have red zone opportunities, be able to be a feature in the passing attack, and also run the ball. All things Tony Pollard does well, and Tony Pollard is going to be 100% healthy for the first time this offseason, unlike going into last season. So Tony Pollard is a guy, like I said, has still averaged over 4 yards per carry last year, 5.2 the year before. Was so disappointing to everybody, but still really good RB2 option.
Love it, Chris. Love it, Chris. All right, Chase. So who do you want us to pick in this territory?
Well, listen, I'm a bigger Tajay Spears guy than I am Tony Pollard guy. The problem is I think that, like for what the production could have been from Tony Pollard, they already have a younger guy that can give them the same kind of thing. So I'm not as high on Tony Pollard as some people. But the funny thing is that all the arguments that I would necessarily make against Tony Pollard, you could kind of make against the guy I'm nominating, and that's Zach Moss, in terms of the idea that there is somebody else there who's younger and could possibly take a large percentage of that role, if not take the role outright by the end of the year. I actually have Jaden Reed and Zach Moss ranked back-to-back as 6th round picks here. So I'm comfortable taking Zach Moss in this range here. And if I've gone as heavy at wide receiver as in the first 6 as I plan to, and as we have so far, we need to take our RB3 here. He's not the most efficient. Moss isn't, but listen, Joe Mixon has never been the most efficient guy either in this exact same offense. It's always been a volume-based offense in terms of the running back production that we see. Like I said, he's taken over for the poster boy for the volume running back. Even if Chase Brown sees a good percentage of the third down work, which is I think where he would first start to maybe eat into Zach Moss's work, I think that Moss gets enough volume to be an effective RB3. So I have Moss ranked my running back 22. And I have Pollard ranked at 31 right now, just because I have Tajay Spears ranked back-to-back with him pretty much right now, because I see the two of them cannibalizing each other too much to be either one of them effective.
That's a bold statement.
There it is.
You should have someone else picking this pick because you had no shot. You had 0 shot in this one. Chase,
I'm sure I don't, because it's you, and I know you hate Zach Moss's guts, and so I'm.
You want to know how?
I'm going to put my case out there anyway.
You want to know how different? Good case, by the way. Sort of. But you want to know how different we are, one on Tony Pollard and Zach Moss? I have Zach Moss ranked at RB 46 and Tony Pollard at RB 24. That's how
okay. So we've got them flip flop. Well, not flip flop. I've got them way flip. But where do you have Chase Brown then? That's what I want to know about this.
I have Chase Brown at 33. I think I might have just moved him up.
See, and I have Chase Brown at 31.
I have Chase Brown at 30.
We basically have these exact. We flip-flopped our views on these two running back positions is what we've done.
Absolutely. That's what it basically boiled down to. Look, I've talked about Zach Moss. I'm not a Zach Moss fan. He can take his 3 games that he had with the Colts and shove it as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to get swooped in and because of that. But Tony Pollard, I'm with you, Chris. I mean, he just gets ridiculed ridiculously. I mean, yes. Did you draft him as the RB6 last year and did he perform as the RB22? Yes. Were you disappointed by that? Absolutely. You know what he also did, despite the fact that he was coming off a broken fibula? Play every game. I mean, when you're talking about Tony Pollard, durability was a factor. He gets paid $21 million over 3 years with 10.9 guaranteed. Tyjae Spears was not this regime's pick. I think that's an important factor. And not to say he's not talented, not to say he's not going to get involved. He is. But Tony Pollard is going to lead the way. And he's going to show you people, because training camp, that's all they're talking about, is how explosive Tony Pollard looks again. It was a 5 yards per carry guy in the past. He went down to 4. Yes, you lose some efficiency with extra volume, but it's not going to be that severe. He gets up to 4.5 this year with the volume he's looking at. He's easily surpassing his ADP right now, which is a high-end RB3. Easily. So this is an easy pick for me. It's going to be Tony Pollard between the two.
Real quick, Zach Moss averaged 4.3 yards per carry on his awesome, spurt last year.
Awesome spurt. It's awesome spurt.
That's actually more than Joe Mixon generally averages for his career. Joe Mixon's a dead-ass 4.0 running back for his career. It's all about volume. So if Moss gets the volume that I think he's due to get, I think he'll be just fine in that offense, because that's always what Joe Mixon did, was all about volume. But Tony, especially if Tyjae Spears can't take the sizable portion of the load that I think he'll take, either way, we've come away with our RB2 here and we're in good shape.
Yeah, I agree.
The thinking is still along the same lines. We needed an RB2 here. Yeah,
it is. We're just showing the different perspectives here. So, recap: Justin Jefferson, Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, and now Tony Pollard. And I like how this is going. We have a few questions coming in here. So this is for, do you guys like Colby Parkinson as a backup this year? Hey, Adam, you want to field that as a dynasty question?
I have him dynasty.
Yeah, I think he is an interesting backup option. I genuinely do. I mean, Higbee is expected to miss the beginning of the year, is he not? So
yeah, and he's old.
I hate Tyler Higbee with a passion. I mean, I'm sure he's a good guy. His mother loves him, but I don't rank him. I literally don't rank him on principle. I'm not going to take the guy taking over for him in any way, shape, or form. We love you, Nino, but
well, Nino, in redraft leagues, he's going to be on the waiver wire. So that's why I gave it to Adam, because I'm assuming this is a dynasty question.
Yeah, I wouldn't roster him in redraft, but he is someone that if I was, I would keep an eye out on the waivers for, especially if my tight end situation is dire. Just to, maybe make sure I grab him if he has a pop-off game kind of in advance, so that you're not, taken from him. Because I think he is going to be one of the better waiver option tight ends this year, at least until Higbee is back on the field. But I'm not necessarily rostering him to start off the season, especially if I'm confident in my tight end group. And as far as dynasty goes, I think he's a good option to kind of have in that rotation.
Nice. Another question coming in here from Kanua Built. I'm just going to go with that. At the 5th pick in a 12-team full point PPR, 1 quarterback, 3 receivers, 2 running backs on a flex. Do we go wide receiver or Breece Bijan for hero RB? That's an easy one for me. If Breece or Bijan are at the 5th pick, I'm going hero RB all day long, 100%. I'd be shocked if either one of those guys are there at that 5th pick. When I have gotten the 5th or the 6th pick in a 12-man PPR league, I have typically been going wide receiver, because usually those running backs are off the board at that point. We're talking more about the elite wide receivers. Chandler asking here, have the 2nd pick in an 18-man league. Woo! Dude at 1 said he's going Lamb. Hill averaged 26 points until his ankle injury in week 14, 3 more than CMC. Do I go Hill, or should I just take CMC? I'm conflicted. Chris, I'm going to kick this question to you. What would you do? Tyreek Hill or CMC at number 2?
Tyreek Hill was a guy that was, had aspirations for almost 2,000 yards last year, a guy who's been awesome the last 2 years, and still scored, I think, 100 points less than Christian McCaffrey did in fantasy football last year. It's a no-brainer. You take Christian McCaffrey. I know there's all kinds of concerns. Is he injured? Is he getting older? They're going to cut back. The guy had almost 400 yards more rushing than any next guy rushing. The guy is also involved in the passing attack. He's a red zone machine. Christian McCaffrey is the guy that you have to go with there. I'm sorry.
We always talk about positional, like having that advantage positionally. Like Travis Kelce was always such a giant upgrade over all of the rest of the tight ends. Christian McCaffrey outscored running back 2 last year by more than running back 2 outscored running back 19. So you're bunching up literally everybody else in the league behind him, and then there's CMC. Don't be scared off by the calf injury that he's been working through. Take CMC.
We're going to get 2 more questions before we get back to the 8th round. Nino came back again. Just one more question before you guys get back into the rounds. Which side would you rather have, Amon-Ra and Zamir, or Jamar and David Montgomery? So that's Amon-Ra St. Brown and Zamir White, or Jamar Chase and David Montgomery redraft. Go ahead. Whoever wants to shout this out first. I mean, I know what
Jamar Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. Adam, can we get a consensus?
Jamar Montgomery.
Yeah. Okay.
I love Sun God, but Jamar Montgomery's the pick.
All right. So we got a consensus on that one. Millie Mills, Pittman, or London in the 2nd round? London for me. One word answers. Go.
London.
Yep,
London. Okay, cool. And last one, Canoe Bill came back. Ingram, Pitts, or Kittle, full point PPR. Full point PPR makes me go Kyle Pitts, because I do think Brandon Ayuk is going to be with the San Francisco 49ers, so we're back to being target distribution being a kind of a problem with George Kittle a little bit. So I'm going to lean Pitts because I think the target's going to go his way with PPR. But go ahead, Chase.
Nope, Pitts.
Chris?
Full point PPR, yes, I'll go with Pitts.
Yeah. Adam?
In full point, I have them back-to-back with Pitts in the lead.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I got Pitts at 6 and Kittle at 7. All right, let's get back to it. We're talking about the 8th round now, beginning half of the 8th round. So in this one, we got Chris who's going to pick between the nominees. Adam and I will be choosing the nominees. So Adam, talk about your nominee.
Yeah, this is another guy who I've historically talked a lot about. I don't think this offseason may be as much, but definitely if you've been watching the many iterations of this show over the last little bit, you have heard me glowingly talk about Deontay Johnson, who has just he's a target earner. At the end of the day, he does dumb things sometimes. I'm going to be completely honest with you. He does not always run forward with the ball. He sometimes struggles to find the end zone. He makes silly mistakes, but a receiver who is open the amount that he is open will be fed the ball, and that's just the reality of the situation, especially for a guy like Bryce Young, who, this show, I think, on average, even with Chase, who I don't think necessarily hates him, but on average, the show dislikes Bryce Young more than consensus. It's even going into him being drafted. Look, Bryce Young is a guy who's going to need the guy who is clearly open. I don't think he's going to throw with anticipation to guy who will be open. It's going to be the guy who is visibly open, right? That's going to be Deontay Johnson on this team. He's going to be the only separator, to be honest with you. Won't be the corpse of Thielen, and it won't be the 18 million Debo clones that they're trying to make over in Carolina. So Deontay Johnson is going to continue to be that guy that gets, 115, 130, maybe more targets. The value of said targets could be, similar to Pittsburgh, where the end zone's a bit of a struggle. But look, he's a guy who his floor is going to be awesome. And half point, he's going to get some of those, catch points. Just again, he's a really good player. If Carolina somehow became a good team, which is in the range of outcomes, I don't think it's likely, but it's in the range of outcomes, it would be in large part due to a monster season because of Deontay Johnson.
I love this because, Adam, first of all, we're both going to nominate wide receivers. It's both of us are nominating guys that we're very passionate about. So I think this is going to make it very tough on Chris to be able to choose between the two nominees, frankly. My nominee in this range, and I think I forgot to do the ADP range again. So Deontay Johnson is in this ADP range. Brock Purdy, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Brooks, Brian Robinson, Christian Watson being one of those guys. And that is who my nominee is, Christian Watson here in the 8th round. I love Christian Watson, okay? Not because I love him so much, the player. I love the value that is his ADP right now, because everyone's trying to figure out, and even ask, Matt LaFleur, who's the number 1 receiver in Green Bay? And he scoffs at the media. The real reason he scoffs at the media because there isn't one right now. But when you look at this team and how they're constituted and where the target distribution comes from, when everyone's healthy and on the field, The guy who has the best shot to be that number one receiver in that coveted offense right now is Christian Watson. And I'm going to put this out there too. Looking at the structure of our draft so far, I think we could go with a little more upside. I don't think we need necessarily floor. So that's the other reason why I kind of like Christian Watson for us here in the 8th round, given we already have 4 really good floor wide receivers. Does his potential land on his health? Yes, 100%. But again, they've addressed it. It makes me a little bit more confident that he'll be able to stay healthy or at least give us a chance this year. He's career 10% touchdown rate. I mean, and it's just been sustainable through patches of games, through years, of course, but it's been sustainable when he's played. It's been 10% touchdown rate. It's been absolutely insane. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love, they're looking for this guy in the end zone. His ADP right now is wide receiver 44. I mean, very little has to go right for him to outperform his ADP at wide receiver 44. And we've seen that when he's on his game, he's a top 20 wide receiver, easily. So I want to go with the upside here. I'm going to nominate Christian Watson. Chris, you decide between Deontay Johnson and Christian Watson for us to take here in the 8th round.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think both make compelling arguments as you talked about. I like Deontay Johnson, the guy that I think we saw Adam Thielen have 105 catches last year. So why can't that be Deontay Johnson, the guy who's going to be that receiver one? They're looking for a contract. You're talking about contract years, the guy who's looking to get paid that big money in Carolina's opportunity to do so. And then look at Green Bay situation. We had an offense that was very, effective, especially the second half of the season. Watson was the kind of guy who was in and out of the lineup. Is he going to be the alpha guy moving forward? It's still to be determined. But I'm with you, Dan. I think this is our lineup we have right now. I'm going to go with the upside. I love Deontay Johnson. I think he's got a really good solid floor. My concerns are a couple of things. Number one, the guy's only had 1 year over 1,000 yards in the last 6 years. So it's in a guy who has huge ceiling. And then you look at some guy who's not necessarily a red zone target. Bryce Young isn't necessarily throwing a lot of touchdown passes as it was. So, okay, then we're limiting a touchdown opportunity upside. And then add the fact that he's always nicked up, and he's already nicked up again with the foot and ankle. And that worries me. I mean, I know it's a little something in preseason right now, but the guy has a history of foot and ankle injuries issues that keeps him kind of in and out of lineup. So Watson, who has been historically injured, has spent this whole offseason trying to focus his energy and attention staying healthy. If he can kind of put that together, that's the only concern we really have with Christian Watson. Is not really the talent, isn't really the surrounding cast, and it isn't the guys you could ever necessarily feature to try to take away. Well, Carolina, you could definitely try to double team Deontay Johnson, see who else can beat you. So I am concerned about the upside Deontay, and I'm going to go with Watson.
All right. So recap again: Justin Jefferson, Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Tony Pollard, Christian Watson. Yeah, this is a championship building team. This is what we got.
Christian Watson or Deontay Johnson as our wide receiver 5. I know that's the greatest thing about it too. And this is we're working off of 12-man leagues here, guys. Like this is a normal thing that we're working off of here. It's absolutely great. We had a couple questions I'm going to address before we get to our last round. Millie Mills Johnson over Thielen after how Adam ate last year. Yeah, did you also see how Adam ate the dirt in the second half of the season? Yes, the Thielen's cooked. It is Deontay Johnson time. Canoa built. Rank C. Will Caleb Williams.
Thank you. I don't know why I was wrong, but I was thinking, I wanted to fit Christian Watson in my head. I'm like, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, 4-point touchdowns. We'll do this around the room. Right now, I have I have Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Goff, and then Tua is how I have those 4 ranked. Go ahead, Chris. What's your order of those 4?
I have Caleb, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, then Goff.
Okay. Chase, what do you got?
13 through 16, these exact 4 guys: Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Caleb, Goff.
Okay. Adam, what do you got?
I go Caleb, Goff, Tua, alone.
Okay.
Hope that helped, Kanoa.
We all have a variation different order on the front 4, so pick whoever you like the best. Of course, the Colts fans never going to say Trevor Lawrence is going to be at the top of that list. I'm just going to point that out.
Homer.
Oh, we all have fun.